Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever the hell you guys are located in this crazy world, as I keep telling you. If you're not keeping your horns up for metal or rock, then you guys are doing the wrong thing. This is Al
That's
Ditton.
right.
I'm with I'm with Underground Noise Webzine. This is webisode number 72. Please hit that subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. Also, like it, share it with your friends. Today's guest is Navid Rashid from Eyes of the Nile, which is an Iron Maiden tribute band, and also the band called Iris Divine. Welcome, Navid. How you doing tonight?
Yep. Hey, man, how you doing? Good, good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Welcome to my show. I'm glad you could give me a portion of your time today.
Good to be here.
Cool, man. The first question I would like to ask you is, how old were you when you first started playing guitar? And also, was that the first instrument that you played?
Yeah, I started playing guitar when I was about 13. I played clarinet for a couple of years in elementary school. Was never that interested in it, so I just did it just because everybody was in the band or whatever in school. And then after that, I didn't do anything for a few years, and then took up guitar when I was about 13.
That's really cool. That's really cool. What kind of guitar do you like to use to make your sound?
So nowadays, well, I mean, I my main guitar for probably 20 years was a PRS. It was I think it's called a CE 24 bolt on or something like that. I used that for like 20 years. It was my workhorse. Love that guitar to death. But I recently became interested in getting a Kiesel, which is a custom guitar brand. And I have a lot of friends who use them who love them. So I just recently got a Kiesel. And for anyone out there who's interested, I got it with something called an Evertune bridge, which is a sort of newer technology that helps your strings to not go out of tune. Essentially, they stay in tune more or less permanently. And I thought it was a really cool technology. One of my friends had it. So after beating up on that PRS for like 20 years, I just got myself a Kiesel within the last 6 months or so, and it's pretty sweet. So both guitars are fantastic.
That's really cool. I have a BC Rich myself, and that's what I use for my sound wherever I
Oh,
write music. So it's a
awesome.
Warlock.
Yep, awesome. Classic metal guitar.
Oh yeah, one of those Kerry King Warlocks to be exact. So shout out to all you Warlock players out there.
Yep, awesome.
The next question I have
Yep.
for you is, what sparked you to become a musician?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, there was always music, kind of around just growing up. There's music on the radio. I just kind of, fell in love with kind of pop and rock music pretty early on. Um, and then I think once I started getting into, more hard rock kinds of things, I think I started to become interested in guitar at that point, obviously being kind of the main instrument. And yeah, I mean, I had been singing for years before that. I've been singing since I was a little kid. So yeah, I think I've always had it kind of in me. And then once I picked up the guitar, it became more of a vehicle for, writing songs and just developing my own voice and things like that. Musically speaking. But yeah, I mean, I've been at least singing since I was a little kid, so it's probably been in me from the start.
That's really cool. Did you take singing lessons? Because you sound very identical to Bruce Dickinson.
Oh, I appreciate that. No, not really. I mean, whatever we got in school when I was in, I mean, I was in choirs and things like that in school, talent shows. I did a cappella when I was in college, so I've sung in all different contexts, and I never really took a lot of formal training. More just picking up tips and pointers from the people that were teaching us. Basically, within the last couple of years, I've done a little bit of training on and off just to kind of develop some more skills and kind of refine some technique and stuff like that. So mostly self-taught, but I've had a lot of people along the way kind of give me good advice.
Are there any exercises that you do before you actually belt out a song? Like, you do any vocal preparations, or do you
Yeah,
drink
definitely.
anything?
Yeah, no, I definitely try to do some warming up and stuff like that. The voice is it can be sort of temperamental depending on what you've had to eat, what the weather's like, how well rested you are, whether there's a mucus situation, you're fighting a cold. I mean, there's so many things. So for me, at least, I think it's always a good idea to warm up a little bit. And I think that's true for probably most singers. I know that there are a handful of singers out there that pride themselves on not warming up. And if that works for you, great. I would imagine they're probably the minority.
That very well could be. As I was telling you before, you sound identical to Bruce Dickinson.
Oh.
Has anybody else ever
Well,
told you that?
he's the master. We're all just doing the best we can, but I appreciate it.
I wasn't sure if anybody else has ever told you that or not.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably, some tonal similarities there, I guess. Which is kind of why, I mean, Maiden's always been really fun for me to sing. And so when I wanted to do like a tribute or covers project, I mean, that was kind of the natural, my natural inclination. And then I've gotten a lot of positive feedback along the way, that we, get pretty close to the Iron Maiden sound. And I guess part of that is the vocals too. So it's always nice to hear.
That's really awesome. How did you meet your band members for Eyes of the Nile? And also, how did you meet your band
Oh,
members for Iris Divine?
so Eyes of the Nile, basically, so I'll flip it actually. I mean, Iris Divine's been the longer running thing. I mean, I've been sort of songwriter for many years now in various different bands and projects, and Iris Divine's kind of been my main project and sort of my baby. It's prog metal. It's basically it's got elements of all kinds of different stuff. Alice in Chains, Rush, King's X, Fates Warning, a little bit of Dream Theater kind of stuff here and there. So it's basically prog metal, and I've been doing that for, since 2008, give or take. And so initially, I started the band with a friend of mine, and we were both playing in different bands. And so he and I decided to sort of join up and do a band together. And we basically brought two of his former bandmates along for the ride. And so, so we were a four-piece at that time, and the four-piece lineup of Iris Divine went from 2008 to 2012, at which point that other singer guitarist that started the band with me, his name is, he goes by Zink, and he's in another local band now called Schumann. So he decided to go start his own thing. We're still buddies and all of that, but he just wanted to do something a little different. So the bass player, Brian, stayed with me. And so Brian and I recruited a new drummer that we just found through, I think, putting probably a Craigslist ad or something. So yeah, Brian and I, Brian being the bass player, we've been doing Iris Divine pretty much from the start. And in 2012, when we went to a three-piece, which is sort of the main configuration we've been in ever since, I think we found both of our drummers through Craigslist, probably. Although our current drummer, Scott, was a fan of the band before he joined. So Scott actually had our albums, knew the music. And so that's pretty awesome that he's jamming with us now. It's been a blast. So that's how that's gone. Eyes of the Nile, I same thing, Craigslist. I put out an ad on Craigslist. I started it. I said, hey, trying to start a Maiden tribute. And the drummer actually is the one who answered the ad. His name is Chris. And he answered the ad. And because when you communicate with somebody on Craigslist, it's anonymous, right? Like you don't actually know who the person is. They change the emails so you can't see who it is or whatever. We kind of know each other a little bit, but when we corresponded about the Maiden tribute, we didn't know that we knew each other, and came to find out later that we had some mutual friends and stuff in common. And so once he and I decided that we wanted to do it, we started asking around, posted on Facebook, posted on Craigslist, and just slowly began kind of, picking up band members. We probably, auditioned a couple of bass players, had one bass player for a while, and then kind of auditioned other bass players when he decided that he wanted to leave. And so we've had a few bass players along the way. And one of our guitar spots, Dan, he's been there since the start. But Jason, who's the guy that plays left-handed upside down, we picked him up after maybe several months with a different guitar player. So, the core has been me and the drummer, and then we've kind of picked up the other members as we went, mostly Craigslist or mutual friends.
That's really intense, man. I like the answer, so that's cool.
Yeah.
I see you got a long goatee like mine a little bit. You like that thing right there?
Right.
Got to go a little scruffy.
I don't have anything left up here, so I do the best with what I got.
Yeah, that's kind of how it is with my hair and my widow's peak, but at the same time, I'm not worrying about it. And plus,
There
I
you
got my Iron Maiden Power Slave shirt on, the reissue shirt.
That's right.
Up
That's
the
right.
irons.
Hell yeah.
What bands
Hell
influence you for your sound?
So for the original, for the original stuff that I do with Iris Divine, yeah, I think I name dropped some of those bands before. I like a lot of 90s hard rock and metal. So a lot of that I think probably has filtered into the way that I think and write. I love 90s Anthrax, kind of the John Bush era. That's pretty cool to me. I like a lot of the classic Soundgarden stuff. In terms of prog metal, I really dig Fate's Warning, especially some of the latter era stuff with Ray Alder. Classic Dream Theater, of course, Rush, King's X. So lots of different things. We're a three-piece, and so there's definitely a little bit of that kind of that three-piece vibe where you just got the guitar, bass, drums kind of playing off of each other. And we tune down, so I think some of that kind of more modern sound comes from the tuning down. We tune to C, drop C. And so yeah, probably a mix of all of those different kind of things. If you've heard our music, it's prog in the sense that there's a lot of shifting time signatures and things like that, and some kind of technical parts. We don't do really long extended solos. We don't have any 10-minute songs or anything like that. So it's still song oriented. There's like, melodic vocals and choruses, and I really try to put a lot of care into the songwriting so that the songs are, hopefully memorable, and that they make sense compositionally. So the songs aren't super long. They get a little proggy in terms of some of the time changes and stuff.
That's the next question I was going to ask you, is what tuning do you guys play in for Iris Divine?
Yeah, drop C. I've been in drop C forever. I've probably been playing in drop C at least since probably about 10 years. That's pretty much the only tuning I've used.
I use drop C and D standard myself, actually.
Oh, nice. Yeah, very cool.
I like to switch it up a lot because sometimes the listener will be like, what tuning are you in? And I'll tell them, I have no idea.
Yep.
As long as it sounds good and you like it, hey, more power to you, man.
I've gotten so used to finger positions in drop tuning that standard power chords and things just feel a little bit alien to me now because I've been using drop tunings for so long. So it's kind of funny.
I can only imagine. Do you have any tour stories that you found to be interesting?
Yeah, I don't know. I would use the word tour very loosely. The longest we've gone out in Iris Divine has probably been 4 or 5 days, maybe. Eyes of the Nile, maybe a weekend here, a weekend there. So I haven't really done any, large scale or extensive touring to speak of. I actually call them mini tours. I don't even really say that we tour in reference, in deference to bands that actually do real touring, weeks at a time. They're out there living on the road. I've never really had that particular experience, but no, it's pretty laid back. All the guys that I play music with, it's a very laid back thing. We're all kind of the same age. We just want to hang out, listen to music, play shows, have a good time, maybe hit a diner afterwards or something, and then just talk about random stuff on the drive. So nothing too crazy.
Has there ever been a moment
but just enjoying each other's company and getting a chance to... What's that?
Has there ever been a moment while you've been on stage that you considered either life-threatening or embarrassing?
Or embarrassing? Oh, yeah. I fell on one of those mini tours. Maybe it was we were in Nashville or something. I basically fell into the drum set. I sort of tripped or lost my footing and kind of fell sort of into the drums. So that was kind of embarrassing. That wasn't my finest moment. So that one for sure. So that was a little embarrassing. There's been times where I've had a set list right in front of me and just randomly skipped a song for no good reason, just got caught up in the heat of the moment or whatever, announced the wrong song. And then the band just went with it. And then after the show, we're like, oh, did we play such and such a song? And the other guys are like, well, no, you just skip right over it. I'm like, oh, sorry, my bad. So, little silly things like that sometimes.
That is kind of funny because you wanted to see that Mortal Kombat guy come out and be like, whoopsie.
Right. No, exactly.
But at the same time, I don't know if that would ever happen at a show or not, but if that appeared on a screen somewhere someday, someone hits the wrong note or they break a string or the drum head breaks. Oh man.
Yeah.
Someone's
if we want to get into technical mishaps, yeah, we've probably had about 1 million of those. So those are the things you really dread. So yeah, lots of that kind of stuff. Your amp doesn't work right, you break a string, some cable doesn't work properly. All that kind of nonsense. But I imagine any band that's out there playing shows has probably experienced most of those things.
So nothing too major.
Yeah, no, thankfully.
I hope you were sober when you fell into that drum set. That sounds kind of painful.
Well, I'm sober all the time because I don't drink. So yeah, just uncoordinated, naturally uncoordinated.
That's awesome. All I do is drink water and stick with my Mountain Dew.
Yep. It's water and coffee for me. That's pretty much it.
That's really cool. You're coming through a little bit foggy at the moment. I'm not sure if your microphone's covered up.
Yes, 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 it is. Yes, it is. The better.
Okay. I can hear you better now.
Okay, cool. I can hear you. Okay, good. Sorry.
That's all right. Yeah, I'm not sponsored by Mountain Dew, but maybe someday I might be, and just be like, hey guys, try out their thrashed apple. If you got a Kroger near you, buy the
I mean, if
thrashed
I was,
apple.
if I ever got endorsed by a coffee company, I would be thrilled because I love coffee. So,
Yeah, coffee's good too. Good source of caffeine naturally, instead of that synthetic stuff that they're selling. But
that's right. That's right.
what's your favorite thing about being a musician?
That's a good question. Writing songs can be a really kind of difficult but very satisfying process. Like when I write something that I'm really proud of, that I feel good about, that might be the most satisfying thing, honestly. Right behind that, probably, or maybe right there on par with that, would be playing live to a good crowd and getting a good exchange of energy. Probably those two things. I'm not a huge fan of the studio. It's kind of a necessary evil if you want to record your music, but it's not my favorite place to be. I would much rather be on stage or just, writing music. Those are probably my two favorite things about it.
What's the longest it's taken you to write one song? Like, what was the longest
Oh, geez.
process it had taken?
I am not a quick or prolific songwriter, so I don't write a ton of songs, and it takes me a while to write songs. I mean, I've probably worked on one song for upwards of 2, 3, 4 months. I mean, sometimes you'll have a song and it's all done, or you think it's all done, and then the chorus isn't quite right, and then you got to go rewrite it. And I mean, that happened once on one of the Irish Divine albums. There's one song in particular which I think turned out really well, but I must have rewritten that chorus like 4 times. Different key changes, this, that, the other thing, until I was finally satisfied with it. So that one took a while.
Are there any songs that you find to be your favorite by your band, Iris Divine?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a handful of songs on each album that probably are my personal favorites. One thing that I like is that people that listen to our music, they have different favorite songs, which hopefully means that there's some level of consistency there. But yeah, no, I think I probably have some that I think are the strongest ones. When you do an album, hopefully you feel good about every song. But then when you look back on stuff you've already recorded, I think that the high points stand out. So yeah, I'd say there's probably a handful of songs on each album that I think are my favorites.
That's really awesome. What songs or a song would you say is the biggest crowd pleaser?
So for Iris Divine, I think the one off the first album that most people seem to dig is actually the first track. It's called The Everlasting Sea. So if anyone who's listening has never heard my band, that's probably a good place to start. First track on our first album. The album's called Karma Sown, and the song's called The Everlasting Sea. I think that one turned out really well. Actually, track 2 on that same album, Fire of the Unknown, that one turned out pretty cool. The opening track on the second album, Static in the Noise, it's called Catalyst. There's another song called The Acolyte that's on that album. I think those two are pretty cool. And then the most recent one we put out is called Mercurial. And we did a video for a song called 13, which I think is a really good encapsulation of our sound. Absolutely, you know what? If anybody's listening, maybe that's the best place to start. If you look us up on YouTube or something, if you just type in Iris Divine and 13 spelled out, you'll see our video for the song 13. I think the video turned out pretty cool. And the song is probably one of my favorites that we've done. It's kind of our whole band in a nutshell. It's got like everything that we do. It's got like catchy vocal parts. It's got some proggy stuff. It's got some instrumental sections. Pretty dark, pretty heavy. So yeah, it's a pretty cool track, I think.
So pretty much a little bit of everything all in one.
A little bit of everything, yeah. Yeah, that's probably the one. If someone said play your band for me, that's probably the song that I would play.
That's really cool. I take it that you guys play that at shows a lot.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
That's really cool. Do you guys have any upcoming shows?
Yeah, we do. We played a lot actually. The back half of last year, I think we were booking pretty consistently. This year we don't have anything coming up until closer to the summer. Venues are booking up like crazy, and so we're just trying to get some local stuff. I mean, nothing huge. We're in, I think, yeah, we've got something in Gaithersburg, we've got something in York. We're working on something in Richmond. So just kind of stuff probably within an hour or two of the DC, Virginia kind of area. So we've got some stuff coming up in the like summer. So if people are following us on Facebook or whatever, we'll probably start posting about that stuff sooner than later. So yeah, nothing for a few months though. I think we're going to try to be writing some music in the next couple of months. So we're going to try to focus on songwriting and stuff like that, and then do some shows in the summer.
Sounds like a good plan. If you guys come to Atlanta, I'll definitely be there for you.
That far. I think we did a Midwest thing where we made it as far as like Detroit or somewhere near there, Chicago. I think we've been out that way. I think in terms of the South, I don't think we've been farther out than like North Carolina. Like I said, I think we did a show in Nashville that one time, but I don't think we've been to Atlanta yet.
Well, if you're ever there, let me know and I'll definitely be there.
Yep. Yeah, that'd be fantastic. Hopefully that'll work out sometime.
Well, I'll keep my horns up for you guys no matter what.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I don't like to talk about fingers being crossed because I can bend my fingers any way that I can. They're kind of flexible, but it's funny because I don't play with my pinky when it comes to guitar.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's weird because I'm right-handed, and so I just play with these three fingers when I'm playing guitar.
Oh, neat.
So if I ever want to do the pinky stretch, I stretch it pretty far. I go from like the 3rd fret to the 9th fret sometimes, and people are like, how do you bend your fingers like that? I'm like, well,
I don't think I could do it if I tried. I'd probably hurt myself.
It takes a lot of practice to get that stretch out, and you get some really funny sounding chords that way.
Cool wide intervals, like.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I mean, imagine if a duck were to play with webbed feet. I mean, I don't know if that would work or not, but who knows? I'd like to see a duck try to jam on a guitar. It would probably be like, be a little scratchy. Who knows? What's your local music scene like, Navid? You guys have a lot
it's changed over the years. I'm in Northern Virginia, right outside of DC. Maybe 10 years ago, we had a really good, solid scene out in Northern Virginia. It was kind of based around Leesburg, and there was a venue and a promoter, and there was a kind of a good community of bands. It's sort of fallen apart in the last, several years. So Northern Virginia, there's not really too much of a scene at this time. Baltimore, I think, has a more active scene. I think DC's got a more active scene. But some of that is kind of niche specific. Like Baltimore, I know has a lot of like kind of hard rock bands, more like commercial hard rock kind of bands. DC, from what I gather, has some extreme metal bands and some stoner metal and stuff like that. So those of us that do my kind of more, melodic metal, prog metal, stuff like that, I wouldn't really say that there's too much of a scene, just kind of scattered shows sort of here and there.
Are there any shows that you're looking for?
Yeah, or at least it's not what it used to be.
Are there any shows that you're looking forward to this year?
To seeing? Yeah, definitely. I have tickets for a couple of things. I'm supposed to go see Life of Agony, who I love and have loved for a long time, and so they're touring this year, so I want to go see them. Who else am I going to go see? That's the main one that stood out to me. There's some tours last year that I really wanted to see that I missed, so if they come back around, like Testament and Death Angel did a thing last year with Exodus, I think, that I really wanted to go to, and I wasn't able to go to that. So if I can catch any of those kind of tours this year, maybe I'll go out to one of those. So probably those. What else do I have tickets for? That's really it right now. Yeah, I'll keep my eyes peeled though for other tours. I mean, I don't see a ton of shows, but if a cool band is coming through, I'll check it out. I just saw Anthrax announced a tour, so that might be something.
That's pretty cool. Maybe you and Scotty.
Yeah, and I saw Maiden in October. Fantastic.
I was gonna say maybe you and Scotty could compare whose goatee's more hip.
Right. Exactly. Yep.
You could always be like, I don't use Just for Men. I'm letting my wisdom hairs show, so leave them alone.
Right. Yep. Yeah. it used to be black once upon a time, but not anymore.
Yeah, mine used to be brown, but now it's gotten to be white, and I'm just like, hey, just go with it. It's
That's
distinguished.
right.
People
Yep,
love it.
that's right.
I always have to say, people, you like my flim flam? They're like, what's a flim flam? I'm like this. You like that fucker? You know what I mean? It throws them off guard. And they're like, I don't understand what you're talking about. I'm like, my goatee. That's the flim flam.
Funny.
Well, I was going to ask you, what others, what are bands have you guys played the same stage with that you've always wanted to share the stage with as well?
Oh yeah, I mean we've opened for a lot of great bands over the years. I think some of the shows that stand out to me, we opened for Fate's Warning. That was pretty cool. We opened for Amorphous. That was pretty sweet. We've opened for Haken. Um, we opened for Orphaned Land. That was kind of a cool show. Yeah, we've had pretty good opportunities around here to open up for a lot of like nationals or international touring bands. Those are some of the ones that stand out. There's actually we did a show actually just a couple of months ago in Baltimore, opening for a band called Bloodywood. I don't know if you've heard of them, but they do folk metal, but they're from India. So it's this sort of like Indian kind of like, Indian folk music kind of mixed with metal, kind of new metal almost. It's almost like if Slipknot was like, Indian or something like that. It's sort of that vibe. So it wasn't like exactly a match for what we do musically, but we got the chance to open that show and it was fantastic. There's like a lot of people and they really, really got into what we were doing. So yeah, we've definitely opened for a lot of, like national acts over the years, and those shows are pretty memorable. They put you in front of more people, and you get to obviously see the headliner and stuff like that. So it's pretty sweet.
That is sweet. Are there any bands that you have not toured with that you've always wanted to do a tour with, probably?
We would jump at the opportunity to open for any major band, right? So yeah, there's no one single band that comes to mind. I mean, it would be a dream come true, of course, to open up for really, any band that's kind of, more prominent than we are. Yeah, no, there's no one band that comes to mind, but if anyone out there's listening or in a position where they could check out our band if they dig it, I mean, we would welcome the opportunity to go out and do, a couple of weeks or whatever with a larger, more established band. That's something we've not really had the chance to do. So if the opportunity ever presented itself, I think we jump at it.
That's really cool. Do you have any family members that support the music you're listening to and right?
I got parents, siblings, I'm married. Everyone's pretty cool with what we do. I think my siblings, are pretty supportive. My parents, yeah. I mean, I don't know that any of them are huge, except for my brother. I mean, I don't think that any of them are particularly huge prog or metal fans. I think it's more just supporting the music because I do it. But yeah, no, it's great to have family support. Particularly, if you're married. I mean, I think it's really critical that your spouse is supportive of what you do because it takes a lot of time. I mean, between writing music, being in the studio, rehearsing, playing shows, traveling, music definitely takes time out of your family life. And so I'm very fortunate that my wife has been really, really cool about it all along. That actually has made all the difference.
That brings me to the next question. How do you make time for both bands, Iris Divine and Eyes of the Nile?
You
Is it
know,
like split up?
Well, it's the time demands are different, and it kind of ebbs and flows. Neither band is that super busy. I mean, Eyes of the Nile at this point, since we've got a repertoire built up, we don't really need to rehearse that much. We only really rehearse if we've got a show coming up or if we're adding a new song, but we're not getting together like regularly. We don't write music, obviously. It's a tribute band. So for Eyes of the Nile, it's really not that time consuming at all. It's mostly just booking shows. We don't even play that often. We're probably doing about a show a month, maybe two if it's a busier month. So apart from that, we might practice once in a month. So it's really, at this point, it's not that much. When we were first developing the repertoire, we were getting together a lot more because we needed to get, 20, 30, 40 songs together, but we've done that now. So we've got a lot to choose from. Iris Divine, same thing, I mean, like right now, for instance, we don't have a lot of shows coming up. I'm writing music. I'm bringing it to the guys. So we're just getting together every few weeks just to jam on new stuff. But when Iris Divine gets busier is when we've got material and we're going to go into the studio. The whole process of recording an album takes a long time, I think, between preparing the actual tracking, mixing, all of that. So that can be kind of time consuming. And then the shows kind of come here and there. We don't really play shows all that frequently, but yeah. So, I'd say, even both bands together don't keep me super busy, but what I like is consistent activity. And so that's why I'm glad to play in more than one band, because at least keeps me busy on a more consistent basis, even if it's just a few times a month.
Yeah, it's definitely good to be active. That way you don't feel bored or out of
Yep,
place or anything like that.
exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I do get restless, so it's nice to be busy.
Yeah, it's good to keep an active mind, that's for sure.
Yep,
I play
100%.
a lot of games on my phone, so that keeps me busy when
Yeah,
I'm not doing music. So that or a video.
good, good. Nice.
Well, Navid, I'm almost out of time with you tonight, but is there anything that you would like to say to your fans? Oh,
Only, thank you to anyone who's ever taken an interest in anything that I do. Whether it's Iris Divine, whether it's coming to a show or buying a CD or supporting a Kickstarter or whatever, or just posting about us online. Same thing for Eyes of the Nile. We've had really great feedback on the tribute shows we've done. So yeah, just a big thank you to anybody who took the time to listen to this. Thank you to anybody who cares about anything that I've done. There are so many musicians now playing at all levels. I mean, it's so saturated. So, if I can even say that there's a handful of people out there that are interested in what I do personally, that's a huge, it's a privilege and it's an honor and it's a blessing. So, yeah, that's it. And so just, follow me, on Facebook and Eyes of the Nile and Irish Divine. We'll try to keep everybody posted on activities and things like that. But other than that, yeah, just thank you and I appreciate it.
that's awesome. Do you have any last words for Underground Noise Webzine, Navid?
Yes. Thank you for supporting the underground. Thank you for supporting metal. Thank you for supporting guys like us that play locally, regionally. I'm not a big rock star, but we're all out there grinding and trying to do cool things. And, we're all kind of part of that same underground community, whether it's on the journalism side or whether it's on the podcast side or whether it's on the musical side. And so, yeah, man, keep it metal always.
That's right. Everybody keep your horns up, stay out of trouble.
That's right.
Support your
Yep.
local music scene, support Navid and Eyes of the
Yep.
Nile, as well as
Yep.
Iris Divine. Support
Yes.
all of that good stuff.
Yep. Absolutely. 100%.
And coming up on Underground Noise Webzine next week sometime, I will be bringing 5, maybe 6 reviews of 5 or 6 different bands.
Beautiful. Awesome. Hell yeah.
So keep your eyes peeled, subscribe, like I said before, hit that bell so you're notified when there's a new video out. Navid, thanks for your time tonight, sir.
Thanks, dude. Thank you so much. All the best. Take care. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Bye now.
Dude. See you soon.